Hi, I'm Dawn and this is where Shabby meets Bling. Tonight I'm going to be using a plethora of thrifted items to create some fall and Halloween decor.
Welcome to Rustic Wednesday, but on Saturday. All things fall. I would love to thank my co-host, Shelly from Repurposed My Way. You're going to find the link to her channel and the link to this fabulously rustic playlist in my description box below. Get ready to have your mind blown because this is unique and different for me. I am using a thrifted item. Yes, I'm using this thrifted sippy cup that I picked up at the Goodwill for $1.99. And we are going to make some magic, or so I hope, with this little jack-o'-lantern sippy cup. I'm treating this little thing like it was actually a pumpkin. I'm going to carve it. I'm going to carve out its eyes, its nose, and its little wiggly mouth, its little wavy mouth, because I want to make this into a jack-o'-lantern, a true jack-o'-lantern, which would light up, right? So your typical pumpkin carving tools will not apply here. So I'm busting out the power tools. I am going to start with my drill and move from there. With that very first hole I drilled into the pumpkin's nose, I created a hole that would accommodate the blade for my jigsaw. And now I'm just gonna follow the little outline of his little nose. And I've never done this before, so I don't want to wreck this thing. I mean, granted, it was only $1.99, but still, I want this to come out. So I am taking my time trying to follow the little outline of his nose and not go outside the perimeter of that little triangle. Here's what it looks like so far. And it's gonna work. You can see it's gonna work. I just have to figure out really how to do this the best way, and I will figure it out as I go. So back to the nose, and once I get the nose the way I want it, I'll move on to the eyes, and then I will tackle that mouth. But I start with the eyes the same way as I did the nose because it worked, right? So I start with my drill bit, drilling a couple of holes to accommodate my jigsaw, and then I cut out all the unwanted areas. This turned out to be really easy, and if you're uncomfortable using a drill and a jigsaw, ask a friend or a spouse, someone that is familiar with tools, because it is quick and easy once you figure it out. After I have the eyes, nose, and mouth done, I am moving on to that little twisty lid receptor area on the top. I don't know what it's called, but it's got those little lines where you twist on your lid and twist off your lid. It's got to go. No jack-o'-lantern has that. Just like the eyes, nose, and mouth, I start with my drill bit and move on to my jigsaw, and I kind of follow the little ribs of the pumpkin all the way around. In some areas, it got really hot as I was sawing and melted that little ring right back on. I simply took my knife when I was done and pried it off. Now I need to clean up any edges that are not the way I want them. I will be using a combination of my Dremel tool, my knife, my hot knife, and some sandpaper to clean up all the edges around the eyes, nose, and mouth. And once I've taken care of all those little edges, we're gonna paint. Yes, we are. The first coat this little jack-o'-lantern gets is with a Rust-Oleum spray paint, and the color is a brown, just brown. It's a flat spray paint. The reason I'm spray painting first is mainly to get on the inside. I don't want any of this orange shining through. I will hit the exterior as well, but my main goal here is to get rid of that interior orange color. So here's little Jackie, and he's partway through his makeover, but not done. We are not done. I am giving his entire little head, his jack-o'-lantern head, a coat of asphalt, and this is a folk art matte paint by Plaid. Once this coat of paint has dried, we're going to give Jackie-O some rusty details. I have busted out my page, and we are going to use that to adhere some eggshells. You heard me right, eggshells. Rust does not just get teeny tiny and fine. Over time, rust starts to flake. The actual layers of paint start to come off. The eggshells will emulate peeling paint. You can check out this project video to see another way I use those eggshells to create rust. Along with my eggshell, I will use my combo of rust. The recipe is in this video if you'd like to take a look at that. It is a little different than what other people use, and I like it because it has not only a brown tint to it, but an orangey tint to it, like rust tends to have. The actual color of my mixture will not be important in this project because all of this is going to get painted. Everywhere I have put my podge, that's the place I determined that little Jackie O is gonna rust, I add either eggshell or my rusty powder mixture. After I have him sufficiently rusted, I'm gonna set him aside to dry. Once Jackie O has thoroughly dried, I brush off all the extra residue and give him another coat of that asphalt. Then once again, he gets set aside to dry. Then another coat of the matte Mod Podge. It gets set aside to dry. And then a final coat of asphalt. And that will build up enough nice layers that we will never, ever, ever see that plastic that was under there. What plastic? He looks metal to me, right? He really does. I really think he's starting to look like metal. Now to address my rust. I am painting my rust. Yes, I am. I am painting it antique gold. My Rustic is going to be refined for this project. He looks like metal. He looks like he's getting rusty, but somehow, my rust isn't an orangey color. It is antique gold. I don't know how that happens, but it sure did here in Shabby Meets Bling World. Yes, indeed. I will layer some antique gold and asphalt. I will just blend the two, dry brushing, till I get the look I'm after. Then he will get set aside to dry one last time. Next, we need to address where this little guy's gonna sit. I picked this up thrifting at Goodwill. And I actually picked it up on the same day that I picked up the sippy cup. I paid $3.99 for it, and it is metal and it is made really well, and I like the bronze and the gold. I think now you know why I painted Jackie O bronze with gold detail. Yes, because I am not going to do anything to this lantern other than put styrofoam around the base. Well, styrofoam and moss. I am using some of my scrappy foam that I've already cut to the right size, and I'm using my hot glue gun. And on this type of styrofoam, you can use hot glue. I have cut 4 pieces in total to surround the bottom of that candle cup. I glue 2 of the pieces into place and hold it until it dries. And then using the same method, I will glue the other 2 pieces of my scrappy foam into place in the back. Once my glue has dried, I'm going to cover all my little scrappy foam with moss. This is Spanish moss, and it is a green Spanish moss. Very, very pale, muted green. Very pretty. I will be holding my moss into place with floral pins. These things are amazing, and if you don't have any and you do projects like this, get yourself some floral pins. You never want to glue moss into place if you intend to put flowers or other things picked into your styrofoam. It will create a barrier that your picks will not be able to penetrate. Once I have finished covering my styrofoam with moss, I need to find a pumpkin stem. And I don't have to look far. No, I don't. I have a box of pumpkin stems. These are just last year's. I have more put away somewhere else because you never actually know what size pumpkin stem you're gonna need, so I keep them all. Mac is supervising and he says we need that teeny itty bitty tiny one right there. This one, Mackie? He says, yes, Mom. That's the one that we're gonna use for this project. Now to create some things to go into our styrofoam around the base of that candle cup. I have used these before. These are the cardboard, the pressed paper mache-esque like substance that are underneath your fruit and your veggies in the produce section at your local grocery store. I pick these up all the time. I have a huge stack of them because I use them for so many things. I made Halloween ornaments out of them last year in this video. Leave the link in the description box for you. But today we're going to make leaves. You can't have a jack-o'-lantern and not have stems and leaves and vines, can ya? No, you can't. So we're gonna make some out of this paper mache like substance. I took one of my leaves that I have used for many things. It's one of the little templates that I created a long time ago, and I traced it onto one of these little half rounds of paper mache, and now I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to do quite a few of them, and I'm going to do 2 different sizes. This size and one that's going to be just a little bit smaller. Once I have all my leaves cut out that I want, I'm going to just crinkle them. I'm going to crinkle them and use my thumbnail and create veins. This paper mache substance already has like little crinkles and dimension to it, which is really cool. The other really cool thing is it's free. This is a free product. Any grocery store will give you these things because they discard them anyway. So next time you're getting groceries, help yourself to some free product because it's really amazing the things you can do with this stuff. After I get my leaves the way I want them, I am going to take my asphalt and I am going to give them a nice healthy coat front and back. Once they have dried, I am sealing in that paint with the Podge. I've got my Mod Podge back out and all of my little fall leaves are getting coated front. Then they will dry, then I will coat the back. Since these are going to be a companion piece in the same project as Jackie O, they need to coordinate with Jackie O. I am going for kind of a monotone look here. I want everything to be in the same hues and the same tone. I am using the asphalt and that metallic antique gold again to add some highlights on all of my leaves. My antique gold is a folk art metallic by Plaid. I need more than just leaves in this little arrangement I'm making, so I decided to make some acorns. I do have real acorns, but they're a little small and they didn't look quite right with my leaves or my little jack-o'-lantern, so I'm gonna make some out of these little wood eggs. I picked up the container with all those little wood goodies in it at Hobby Lobby. It is a wood pile product. I am drilling 2 holes through my egg, one at the top and one at the bottom. I am calling the tinier part the bottom and the wider part of the egg the top. At the top, I am drilling a wider hole through it because I'm going to be adding one of these little skewers right there, right through it to act as a stem. I thrifted those skewers at Goodwill for 99 cents. I will glue a piece of wire into the bottom of my egg. That will give me the ability to pick it into my arrangement. Now I have to make a little cap for my little acorn. It already kind of looks like an acorn, but it needs more. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my pencil and I'm drawing a line all the way around almost the middle, not quite, of this little egg, soon to be acorn, because that is where I'm going to sand it. The way I'm creating the cap is with a Mod Podge, the Podge, and some sand. I apply the Mod Podge from the line I drew all the way up to the top of the stem, and it's pretty thick. I'm doing a pretty thick layer of the Podge. After I get my Podge in place, I add some sand. I just sprinkle it all over that area that I applied the Mod Podge. The sand I'm using is leftover from another project. Actually, it's leftover from Babs. You might remember Babs. Yeah, well, she was a little sheep that I made, and I used sand on her nose and on her feet. Well, in this circumstance, I'm using it on the cap. It is just a combination of play sand and white sand, and you can get Sand just about anywhere. You can get decorative sand at the Dollar Tree, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, and you can get play sand at places like Menards. After all of my caps are dry, I need to paint them, and the entire acorn cap, stem and all, even the wire, is getting painted in this asphalt. As I said, everything's going to be kind of monochromatic. They're going to have slight differences in colors and in finishes, but as a whole, everything is going to blend together to be just kind of a pretty muted little centerpiece. After I have one coat on all my little acorns, I set them aside to dry. And now we're going to build up that little cap. It's not quite big enough. You know how big those little caps are on acorns. So we're going to give this another layer. The really cool thing about this is you could do this as many times as you want to make that cap as big as you want. I end up doing it 3 times total. Actually, 3 different times I come in with the podge and the sand to build up that little cap. So if you're keeping track, this is a layer 2. Once the second layer is complete on all the acorns, I will set them aside again to dry. So much drying in this project, so much drying. Once my second layer of sand is dry, I come in with a second coat of asphalt and then more drying. More drying. Good thing I'm multitasking while these other things are drying. I'd never get anything done at all. This is the third layer of sand. Now, what I'm going to do is half of my little acorns are going to be left with the bottom part showing asphalt and the top of it showing sand because it's a really cool look when it's dry. The other half are going to get thoroughly painted asphalt, but their little caps are going to get painted in that antique gold. So I'll have 2 different types of acorns. Ooh, pretty. I thrifted this bag of walnut shells for $1.25, and they are shells. Somebody actually cracked them and glued them back together with this weird little stringy yarn thing inside them. What I'm going to do is remove that little piece of yarn, drill a hole through it, add some wire, and they will get painted as well. I also thrifted this hurricane, and this will play a part of the fall part of this decor, not the Halloween part, the fall part. And I get it for $1 at my favorite resale shop. As I may have mentioned earlier, my little leaves need little vines and whatnot to crawl upon all over this little lantern. So I'm just using my little tool that I use when I make jewelry to curl some wire. I'm curling it this way and that way to make it look authentic like a real vine would. And then I'm going to paint it asphalt. And I'll do quite a few of these little curly vines. When I adhere my leaves to these vines, I will be using Elmer's Craft Bond and a little bit of paper towel. And then I will paint it, once dry, with asphalt. This is just to disguise that wire and paper towel. Nobody wants to see that. I decided my lantern needs a bow. And most ribbon was way too formal for the look I was after. I wanted something a little more frayed and tattered. And I found this at Hobby Lobby, and it is wired, but look at the edges, so pretty. It's not going to fray any further than what it is because it's sewn in place. So I am going to make a little 3-looped bow for the bottom of my lantern. I will use a little bit more at the top to bring the look all the way through the piece, but I'm just going to create right now a little 3-loop bow, and I use my fingers to measure how big my loops are. This will give you the exact same size loops every time. You don't need a little pegged board or anything. You just need your fingers. So make your loops, put your fingers in there, and pull tight. And then you wire them. I wire my loops individually. That way I can move the loops anywhere I want. It's not stagnant, and it gives you a more natural free-forming look. Once I have all my loops in place, I cut a nice little angle at the bottom. I think a bird beak would be lost with the frays, so I just give it a little angular cut. I will give it a third tail coming out the top because I like to work in uneven numbers. It's more pleasing to the eye. It's been proven. It's a fact. One very last item. I picked these up at Hobby Lobby as well, and I got them in the Christmas department. All their Christmas is 50% off right now. So if there's something you really like, you should get it now, because the really cool stuff will be gone by the time their clearance sales hit. I like the looks of these berries, but they do not fit in with what I'm doing, and I wanted to add a little color. So I decided to paint the berries and the stems. The berries are getting painted this beautiful green. This is a Crafter's Collection paint from Hobby Lobby, and the color is olive green, and it is gorgeous. Simply gorgeous. So my lantern won't be simply asphalt and gold. It's gonna have a touch of really pretty muted color. Now the stem I will be painting in asphalt. After these are dry, all I have to do is assemble my arrangement, and it is going to give us 2 projects, one for fall, one for Halloween.
My projects are totally finished. Let's go take a look.
This is the top of our lantern. You get a really good look at one of the acorns and a couple of my leaves and a scrolly little vine. Here's the top of our pumpkin, also made with that paper mache material from the grocery store, and the real stem. Here's my 3-loop bow, some of those walnuts, and those pretty little berries that I painted green. There's the lantern all decked out for fall, with a big old candle in it and that little squatty, really cute hurricane glass. I'll be able to display this gorgeous little lantern all the way through September, but once October hits, then it'll be time to bust out Jackie O. Oh, you say? It's Jackie. Oh my goodness, Halloween is right around the corner. Let's take a look at the Halloween version of this project. There he is, sitting right smack dab in the middle of that lantern. I think he looks cute, not even lit up. But remember, he is now a real jack-o'-lantern, so we can light him up. What do I always say? If you can light it up, you should light it up. So let's do that right now. Let's light up Jackie O. There he is, just a blinking and a winking at us, all ready for Halloween. And it truly does look like metal. If you were all here in a real life, you would tap on it because you would be like, oh, that's metal. And you're like, no, it's not. It's plastic. But you would never know. I am extraordinarily happy with the way this very monochromatic, rustic yet refined project came out. And yes, I will be displaying him all the way through the rest of October. Since Jackie O turned out so well, I am going to be on the lookout while thrifting for other sippy cups that I might be able to transform. Thanks again to Shelly for joining me in this Rustic Wednesday, but on Saturday, all things fall. You're going to find the links to her channel and this playlist in my description box below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, share it with your friends, your family, anyone that likes DIYs, repurposing, thrifting, flipping, salvaging, Halloween, fall, and home decor. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and don't forget to check out my shop on Etsy. Ring the bell for notifications of all my upcoming videos. Leave a comment because you know I really love hearing from you. Subscribe. It's a great way to support my channel. Another great way to support my channel is to join. Become a member. There's special perks just for my members. You'll see details below if you click that join button. But for now, this is Dawn with Shabby Meets Bling. Thank you so much for watching, and I really look forward to seeing you next time.